Hey everybody, I'm going to learn to talk into a microphone here. Thanks, Shane. So my name is David Vogelpol. I'm the organizer of the Ausome meetup along with Kelsey Martin there in the front row. Thanks, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, the food and beer is sponsored by Affiliate Summit. Is anybody going to Affiliate Summit? I am. It's in early August, so no hands. If you've never been to Affiliate Summit, you might want to check it out. It's held in Vegas and New York. The one in August is in New York, but they do have a local one, and it's called the Performance Marketing Summit. And it's a nice kind of easy way to get in and learn content around affiliate marketing. So tonight's presentation is on retargeting. How many people run retargeting on their websites? No, one hand. Okay, so this is not uncommon, and our speaker tonight is going to kind of go into that a little bit. And I'm going to not get too deep into it, but retargeting should absolutely be a focus of your business. The cost of the traffic is incredibly low, and it's a very effective way to reinforce your brand and your products and services to people that visit your website. And again, our speaker's going to go into the details and some of the statistics behind that. I got a chance to see the presentation earlier, and it is awesome. It goes into the hows and whys of retargeting, and it goes into tactical tips on how to execute it. And I think that's one area a lot of speakers at a lot of events miss out on is, how do I go and do this? And so our speaker is going to share a link to his slides. So even if you don't get to write it all down, you'll be able to download it later, follow along at home when you're implementing your own retargeting campaigns. So without me giving your entire presentation for you, I'd like to introduce our speaker tonight, Mr. Jesse Jameson.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, that's exciting that you're all going to get to learn something new, or at least apply it in a way that you haven't yet. So just to kind of briefly talk about who this is for, it's essentially for anyone that has a website and an offer. And does everyone in here actually have a website that you're promoting some product or service? Awesome. A Facebook presence, Facebook page? Cool. You've done any type of Facebook advertising at all? Boost a post, anything? Okay, cool. All right, so that gives me an idea of where we're at, and so I'll be able to modify this presentation just a bit to kind of shape it to give you what I think will be the best information for you to take and run. So this presentation, normally when I do it, it can go as long as an hour and a half. We don't have that much time, so I'm essentially going to cover just a couple of things here. I am going to do an overview of what retargeting is. I'm going to skip past the why Facebook, but with the slides that you'll be able to download. Also, we have a couple other places that I'll be speaking next week where I will cover that a bit more, and I can have my partner Kate tell you where that's at. I'm going to show you a couple slides on who's doing it now, and also talk a bit more about why you absolutely positively want to be retargeting. It's not a nice add-on. It's not one of those things that's, maybe I should add that as a supplement to some of my other marketing. It's an absolute must, and I'll explain why. And then I'll also show you a couple of creative retargeting strategies that you can apply, how best to use it. And as we blaze through this stuff, I'm also going to get right into it and show you where to go on Facebook to get things set up, grab that tracking code, place it on your site, and how to verify it's actually there. Who am I? I've been doing this for about 15 years, all forms of internet marketing. I've created courses on copywriting, sales funnel building, coached many top internet marketers here that are well known today. I've built and sold a number of companies, some that are lead-based, creating leads for a number of businesses. Just last year, one of my business partners and well-known entrepreneur here in Austin, Mike Dillard, he and I sold a company collectively called Better Networker, where we essentially taught home business owners how to promote their business through social media and internet marketing. That was Better Networker. Today, I'm co-founder along with my business partner here, the lovely Kate Buck.
I'm periscoping. Y'all say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
We have an agency called Hey Now Interactive, which provides marketing services to companies both large and small, Fortune 100s down to mom and pops. And we also have a publishing company where we create training products that teach this very thing right here. So what is retargeting? So as you know, for all of you, it always begins with traffic to your website. And it doesn't matter how the people got there in the first place. Some of them will come through search, paid search, organic search, press release, your email list, many different ways that they get to your site to begin with. Where retargeting really begins to change things is you simply place a very small piece of code on your site. Now I'm speaking specifically about Facebook. There's other retargeting networks that are external to Facebook, such as Drawl, Perfect Audience, and those will place your ads both within Facebook, but then also major networks like USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Weather.com, and pretty much all the major traffic sites are part of those retargeting networks. But with Facebook, you take that little bit of code, goes on your site, and from there, what happens is you are now able to observe the behavior of the people who are visiting your site. There's a number of different ways you can do this. When was the last time they visited your site? If you have a search bar, did they search for a specific keyword or phrase on your site? If you have category sections, let's say you're a pet store, did they search for cat food? Well, if so, that's a pretty good indicator they have a cat. And so that gives you some options in how you place ads in front of them now, rather than brute force marketing, which is, hey, here's my business. You can get granular and say, hey, you have a cat, and start marketing to them as a cat owner. So you're observing their behavior. And what happens to most people that visit your website is that they leave your site. And it's for a number of reasons. It's not always due to the fact that they don't have interest in what you have to offer. Someone knocked at the door, they're late for work, the dog started barking, the kid spilled something. All different types of reasons why people will leave your website. This slide here just as kind of a case in point. This is a client who does a lot of online business. They've got about 600 retail stores throughout the country. They do about $100 million a year online. And the reason I have this slide and what I'm showing you here is that I took a snapshot of the Google Analytics from April of last year to April of this year. They had 64 million sessions. Of those 64 million sessions, you had 3.2 million that made it as far as the checkout page to put in their credit card information. Of those people, about 500,000 or 550,000 actually went as far as a transaction. That's less than 1%. Now, in most cases with most businesses, it's very similar. You have a very small fraction of people that will actually show up on your site and buy something the very first time that they visit. So what are your options? Well, in the past, and we've all seen this, many of you use it as well, we do in our business, you might have an opt-in page, a form that pops up as they try to leave. Wait, before you go, give us your name and email address, and I'll give you something of value. Well, the challenge with that is, and it's still a very effective way to advertise, because now you at least are able to keep communication with the people that have visited your site. But the difference is that with email marketing, industry-wide, across all industries, it's less than 18% deliverability. You're having such a hard time getting to people's inboxes to be able to continue communication with them. With retargeting, they can actually pick right up where they left off in the sales conversation. In this particular case, they're a clothing retailer. So if you looked at a pair of Vans, speckled Vans, you can actually place an ad in front of that person on various sites, Facebook or otherwise, of a pair of shoes, the exact shoes they looked at. So you have these people that leave your site. Because you have the retargeting code installed, they are immediately eligible to see your ads elsewhere. When I say immediate, in the case of Facebook, the moment they leave your site, go to Facebook, they actually can see your ad immediately there, depending upon if you have it set up that way. Now, they see your ad. Hopefully your ad is congruent with the reason that you had contact with them in the first place when they were visiting your site. They'll see your call to action, whether that's come back to our site or whatever it is. And from that point, you were able to dynamically re-engage them. Now, here's what I mean by dynamically re-engage. I mentioned a moment ago the term brute force marketing. I refer to brute force marketing as someone is already aware. They're in that early stage of awareness. You've introduced them to your product. So now they're aware. But we tend to treat them that way as if they're still in that early stage. As where with interest and consideration, you can do some things like, well, let me show them a benefit. And that's what my ad is, because they've already been exposed to my offer. Or value exchange. Well, they're at the tipping point. Well, let me offer them a 10% discount. So you have different ways throughout the relationship building that you can retarget the people that visit your site so that it's relevant to why they showed up in the first place. And that is dynamic re-engagement, as opposed to showing them the same ad that introduces them to the front end of the conversation. With dynamic re-engagement, you pick up wherever they were. If they made it all the way to your shopping cart but abandoned it, you can bring them right back to the shopping cart or give them a testimonial of a happy customer who's using your product or service now. Something like that that kind of brings it further along. And if everything goes well at the end of the day, they purchase from you, and everyone lives happily ever after. So that's just kind of the whole, the round trip of retargeting as a whole. What it is, how it works. For you to implement it, you don't have to put something in place for all of these steps. This is just me showing you what the experience is for both ends, someone being retargeted and for you retargeting one of your website visitors. To simplify it even more, it's simply a matter of a prospect visiting your website. They're now tracked. They leave your site. They see an ad somewhere, brings them back to your website, and they have the opportunity to purchase from you again. So this is a real world example of a car dealership and how they would use it. A person visits their page, they're looking around for a car, and they might get as specific as a white Toyota Camry. They're late for work. They leave the site. They get on Facebook or some other site. They see an ad for that exact white Toyota Camry that they expressed interest in. That brings them back. It's much more effective than just an ad about the car dealership. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
Here's an example. A couple days ago, we were watching a movie, and my tuner, my receiver for my home theater blew out. So I find myself on Amazon looking for a replacement. Well, just yesterday, in the right-hand column of my Facebook newsfeed, there's the exact tuner, or at least one of them, that I was looking at. This is an example of me being retargeted. This wasn't done within Facebook. A lot of the stuff you see in the right-hand column, and even stuff you will see in your newsfeed, comes from external networks like Drawl and Perfect Audience. There's another example. I had been somewhere on some other site, and I saw an ad for this thing called Sculpt. And essentially what it does is you put it on different muscle groups of the body, and it's going to tell you the muscle density and give you your body fat percentage. So these guys were retargeting me on Facebook. And this is something you can all do as well. If you ever see an ad and you're curious why you're seeing it, in the upper right corner is a little drop down. You can click on that and drop down to why am I seeing this ad? And it's going to tell you. In this particular case, this company uses Drawl, one of those external networks. And because I had been to their site, they are now showing me the same product on Facebook. It's effective because it says buy now, but they could actually optimize to make this better. If I was actually consulting with this company, I would give them ideas like, instead of just having buy now and show me or tell me what the product is, I already know. You're retargeting me because I've been to your website. You might want to give me a feature that I didn't think of. That's a benefit. You might want to give me a testimonial of someone using it and they've had great success with it. So even though they're doing well with this, because the buy now will take me straight to where I can order it instead of the front end of their website, they can still do other things with it to optimize this and make this a better performing ad. This is an off Facebook example of one of the retargeting networks I mentioned that are off. We've done some work with Drawl. So last month, I wanted to test out Perfect Audience. So we took one of our courses that teaches people to become social media managers, and we placed the tracking code on there for Perfect Audience around the 20th of May. And so as you can see over time, it starts to collect the number of people it can show these ads to. So over about a month's period of time, we spent about $156 on this ad. It gave us 26,000 impressions. And these aren't just random people. These are people who have already been to our site and expressed an interest in what it is that we have to offer. In that time, in the past month, there were 11 conversions. The product sells for $4.97. I think we're offering it for $2.97 here. But you can see it's like 10, 15x what we spent on our advertising. $156 brought in $23.76. These are customers that we wouldn't have acquired any other way. We do email marketing, but not everyone provided their email address. They didn't have to here. The moment that they visited our site, that's all they had to do. And they were now on a virtual list that I can put ads in front of so that they have another opportunity to buy. And 11 of them did. So that's kind of a high-level overview of how retargeting works. So what I'm going to do next here is I'm going to talk a little bit about who's doing it now. And the truth is, not very many people. So I went out and I looked at about 200 high-trafficked, well-known big brands. In fact, I went to some site and I said, who are the top brands in the United States? And I started going down this list, and nope, they don't have it, nope, nope, they do. So Target, Kia, a lot of the car companies, Pepsi, Nike, and so on. Starbucks, Red Bull, these are the companies that are implementing retargeting on Facebook now. And I'm going to show you how you can spy on your competition to see if they're actually using retargeting themselves. And that's how I was able to find out if they were. It's just a simple browser plugin that will allow you to do that. I also did a search here in Austin for 150 companies. Everything from dentist office to chiropractors to martial arts studios, pet supplies. Are there any chiropractors in here? I grabbed a couple sites. I'm not sure if I grabbed anyone's site that's in here. But I went through all these different sites and found out that there were 7 people that were actually doing retargeting. Not very many. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. The reason that retargeting is so significant is because it is not an addition to advertising you should be doing. It maximizes every dollar that you're already spending on your advertising. Regardless of how people got to your website, this is a way for you to continue a conversation with them about what it is that you offer. So if you're not retargeting, you're actually spending a lot more money on your marketing than you should be, and it's less effective. Your conversions are definitely lower than if you were implementing retargeting. So we'll talk a little bit about some creative Facebook retargeting strategies. Now, I had mentioned here that I went and grabbed some screenshots of some local businesses. So think of your website as a buffet. You have this menu structure, you may have a search bar, but you have all these different places that when a person gets to your website, they're able to click around and kind of serve themselves based on what they're interested in. In the case of this chiropractor, they've got a whole list of services from trigger point dry needling, nutritional testing, functional medicine testing, car accident injuries. So the one that I have highlighted here is nutritional counseling. Now, with this chiropractor is able to create a segment within their Facebook website audience that is only using the keywords nutritional counseling. Why is this creative and what can you do with it? So if someone shows up at this site and clicks on nutritional counseling, I probably don't want to put an ad in front of them for car accident injuries. But the same applies for someone that was in a car accident and they click on that link. I can segment them based on where they've been on the site and only place ads relevant to what they expressed interest in. This same site also has a list of conditions that they treat. Every one of those is a link. When a person clicks on that link, they have high blood pressure or sleep disorders. I can advertise to them specifically about their sleep disorders. It's going to be a lot more effective than just a brute force, blunt marketing of, we're a chiropractor, come use our services. Same thing here with the travel agency. You've got everything from baby moon trips to adventure travel. If someone is looking for adventure travel, you probably don't want to confuse that with some other type of travel. You're going to be very specific. Same thing here for a scuba dive shop. Whether they're looking for training, equipment, or services, you can get granular as to how you're going to target them with your ad, specific to how whatever they expressed interest in. So that brings us to the part on how to get started. Now, for some of you, this may blow right over your head. I do have the slides, so don't feel like you have to take notes on all this, but I'm actually going to walk you through the process, which is 3 simple steps essentially. 1, you're going to go to Facebook and get your tracking code. 2, you're going to install it on your website and verify that it's working correctly. And then 3, you can go in and create audience segments. Good news is you only have to install it on your website 1 time. Then from there, you can come back and create audience groups later, because the moment that you put it on your site, it begins tracking, and it will keep track of people in groups for up to 6 months. And I'll show you, I'll explain that a little bit more here in just a moment. So for just having a Facebook account, for those of you that have never run an ad, there's an ad account associated with your Facebook personal account. There's 2 ways you can get there. First is you go ahead and click the menu like you normally would to access other things on Facebook. And if you click create ads and you've never created an ad before, it's going to kind of force you to go through an ad creation process. So the way that I recommend doing it is actually just going to facebook.com/ads/manage. And the moment that you do that, it's going to drop you on this screen right here. And you'll see that there's no ads in here yet, and that's exactly what you would see. Right after that, on the left-hand side of the screen, you've got a number of options. You're going to go down to the one that says audiences. And the moment you click on that, you're going to see a screen that looks like this, minus these example audience groups that I've created. You wouldn't see those. So you're then going to come up there to the top and click create audience. It's going to give you a couple of options. You want custom audience. Again, it gives you a couple of options. And again, I do have the slides for this, so you don't have to remember all this. You're going to select website traffic. Because essentially, even though there's other ways, other groups of people you can target, we're talking today specifically about targeting the people who have visited your website. So that's why we're going in here and telling Facebook how to give us the code so that we can place it, and then they can begin tracking. Now, once you got to this point here, this is where you're going to create your rules. And you can do everything here from anyone who visits your website. And I highly recommend that you do this. You can also do people who visit a specific page. You can also say people who visited this page but not others. A great example of doing that, we were talking about that earlier, about how someone has been to your order page but they've never made it to the thank you page, which means they have not purchased your product. So this is a way to kind of segment them out and create a group of people that have been as far as the order page, enough interest to get there, but they didn't actually place the order. You also have the people who haven't visited your site in a certain amount of time. I'll tell you where this is handy. A lot of times with your email list, you'll get a lot of people that just don't open. One of the ways you can re-engage them, getting them back to your site and getting on top of mind for them again, is by placing an ad of something of value, a free offer of some sort. Now you're on top of mind again, and I've tested this, and I've seen email open rates increase by using this strategy. And then at the bottom, it's custom combination. With that, you've got a lot of choices. You can do if, then, or, exclude. You've got all kinds of stuff you can do. For the purposes of this, I would say start off with anyone who visits your website, and then I'm also going to show you an example of people who visit a specific page on their website. Right below that, you can see that people who have visited in the last 30 days. If you're not getting a lot of traffic to your site, I recommend that you go ahead and put 180 days in there, because that's the maximum that you can create a group for. You can do it as few as 1 day, and there's some instances where you're running a promotion or something and you want someone to see something and then fall off after 1 day. Rare instances, but there are some. But 180 days gives you 6 months that a person stays in that audience segment before they roll off. So I would say your very first one that you create, all website visitors, 6 months. Now, once you've done that, we get to the place where Facebook gives you your code. Every ad account only gets 1 audience website tracking code. So if you're placing on multiple sites, keep that in mind. You only get the same code regardless of how many places you're using it. And the only way to get another website audience pixel code, a number, is to actually have another ad account. For most people, that works fine. 1 account, you're good to go. If you don't do your own technical stuff, like most of you that have websites, most likely sitting on WordPress, Some of you do it yourself. How many people familiar with WordPress, or at least the back end of it? Okay, most people here, great. If you were and you're on some other platform or it's coded and it's not WordPress, you simply click send the code to your website developer, enter their email address, and say, hell, put your hands up, send this to them, and they'll know what to do. If you do it yourself, you take this code, and here's the next step. We have now gone as far as step 1. We've grabbed the Facebook pixel code. Now we're going to place it on our website. Those of you who install plugins, you're familiar with this. You go down to the menu bar on the left side, you go to plugins, add new. The plugin you're searching for is called header footer. It's not specific to Facebook, but it does exactly what you need it to do to place that code. Once you've installed it, you find it in the settings section, drop down, go down to header footer. It's going to show you this page right here. Now on this page, what you're going to do is you're going to take that code that you got from Facebook, and you're going to drop it in that top section right there. You're going to click save and you're done. That's it. Now it's installed on your website. How do you know it's installed on your website? Well, there's a way to verify that. Facebook has developed a browser plugin, and unfortunately it's only available on Chrome. There's a number of useful tools out there that are only available on Chrome. The Facebook Pixel Helper just happens to be one of them. So just do a Google search for Facebook Pixel Helper. You'll find that Google Chrome plugin. You'll install it, and the moment that you do, in the upper corner of your browser, you're going to see a little blue button. And if that blue button lights up, it means that your pixel has fired and it is installed correctly. This is one of our sites here, and you can see that once you click on it, it will show you the Facebook pixels that are on this page. And in this particular case, because we do conversion tracking, we do a number of different unique things because we're always testing, we actually have 3 separate pixels that have fired here. In most cases, you'll just see the one on your site because that's probably all that you've installed. So from this point here, and here's also what's good about this, and I think I have it on the next slide here. I do not. Yes, I got two down. So once you've verified that this pixel helper is installed and it shows that your pixel fires on that page, you're set up and you're good to go. From this point forward, anyone that visits your website, and when I say anyone, the caveat is that anyone that uses Facebook. The question that I get often is, do they have to be logged in? That used to be the belief, but the answer is no, they don't have to be logged into Facebook for Facebook to track the activity. So now that it's installed there, this is we've got some of it blotted out because this is a live client's site where they have about a dozen or so custom website audience segments. Some of them are 180 days, some of them shorter, but you can see that they range in size from 1,000 up to 43,000 visitors that they can now place ads to an individual segment or all of them, or these ones, but exclude other ones. So you have a lot of flexibility in how you advertise to the audience segments that you create. So another useful thing, as I mentioned earlier about Pixel Helper, is the ability to spy on your competition, to find out who else might be using retargeting technology. In this particular case, getting back to that of that chiropractor, this happened to be one of the local businesses that is using retargeting, and I can verify it by seeing the pixel fire up there. This other page is just the same thing. I went to Starbucks site, and it shows they also have a custom audience pixel from Facebook that loaded. But over here on the side, this chiropractor is using it, and so I don't know how creative they're getting, but they certainly have the opportunity to get creative based on all the different pages they have on their site that their visitors can click through to.
Did you see any ads on Facebook after you did all this searching around for them?
No, what I found out though is that I think my personal account, I opted out of some of them. So, and actually a thing pops up and says, you're not eligible to see or be targeted from this because you opted out. I was like, I did. I didn't even realize I did. Yeah, there you go. So Starbucks is not allowed in my newsfeed. So again, creative retargeting. In the instance of nutritional counseling, oddly enough, even though the menu item is called nutritional counseling, the URL is dietary counseling. So you want to keep that in mind, because if I created an audience segment around nutritional counseling, I probably it wouldn't collect any website visitors. So again, if I wanted to create an audience segment specific to anyone that visited this site that has expressed interest in nutritional counseling, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back into that audience segment, or the audience screen in Facebook. I'm going to click on Create Audience, Custom Audience, Website Traffic, and then I'm going to come in here, and instead of anyone who visits my website, I'm going to select a specific page. Now, in this particular case, I just used the keyword. And the times that I would do that is if I know I only have my retargeting code on one website, I'm just going to use dietary-counseling, because that's what that link was. Anytime someone visits that page, it's going to fire, they're going to be dropped into this audience segment that I'm just creating now. I'll set it to 180 days so I can capture the most people. I'll give it a name, and then I'm done. As soon as I do that, now there's an audience segment called Nutritional Counseling Family Health Chiro. And there's a couple things that I highlighted to point out on here for you. The first is that Facebook does not, through this screen anyway, allow you to advertise to an audience segment that has fewer than 20 people in it. There are other ways to do that. If you go through the normal ad process rather than doing it through here, you can select smaller groups than 20. But if you have 20 people there, that little red light will turn green, and that create an ad section will highlight there, and you can then create an ad specific to that audience segment. I did a duplicate on the bottom there just to show you that as that segment grows, you can just do a mouse over, and it's going to tell you the size of that group, that it is a custom audience, and how long you've set it for. So it gives you some information, unique information about it there. I want to go back here for just a moment. If for some reason you are placing this code on multiple domains, what I would recommend here, instead of the keyword that I put in there, because URL contains, there's also an option for URL equals, and it's exactly. I might take the entire URL, the domain that you see up top there, drop the whole thing in there. That way it's absolutely specific to that link. I'll give you a reason where that could vary. If under dietary counseling, let's say they had one that was dietary counseling /paleo, dietary counseling /vegan. Well, because I'm selecting the keywords that are in that link, it's going to pick up all of those. So if I want to be specific to paleo or vegan, I'm actually going to put those other keywords in there as well, or use the whole link.
Probably doesn't work to give paleo ads to vegan people and
yeah, that probably wouldn't be good.
People paleo ads. Probably isn't a good idea.
Right. All right, so that is pretty much me. I don't even know how much time that was, but I threw a lot at you, kind of opened a fire hydrant there. So now I'm going to open it up for some questions. And of course, if you want to get the slides that I just blew through there, that's the top link. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's the bottom link. So with some questions, what do you got?
So you showed that the audience segments had to be larger than 20 to show ads. It's retargeting though. You have to wait for the retargeting pixel to fire on enough people to build the segment up, and then you can advertise to it?
So the question is do you have to wait until you've acquired 20 people in an audience group to be able to advertise to them? Well, it is if you go through it the way that, through the audience manager. If you're going to do it through here and click create ad, you would have to wait.
The question's more like, in the day one, you have 0 people that have been tracked with your pixel.
Yes.
In day 2, you have maybe 5, and then you eventually get bigger than 20. Do you just have to wait until it reaches 20?
If you advertise this way, if you go through the other process of just going to the Facebook ad manager and you say create an ad, and then you go through what kind of ad? Well, click through to my website. All right, select the criteria. If you go in there, you can select the audience through that means, even if you had 1 or 2. So there's still a way to create ads for just a single person that has visited your website and lands in that audience group.
Here, is the percentage of users that opt out of these kinds of ads on Facebook relevant, or no?
So the percentage of users
who opt out of retargeting ads on Facebook relevant?
It's a good question. Not enough that I have noticed I guess there'd be no way for me to know the percentage of people, but every time someone that is eligible goes through, it will fire and they'll be added to it. So yes, there are some people that, due to the way that they've selected their preferences to be advertised to, that would not land in your audience group. But it's very far, not many at all. Yep.
Is there a way to upload known email addresses or known accounts? Let's say you have 40 clients and you're going to target those in specific ways.
Yeah, absolutely. As I was kind of blowing through this here, where I was showing you the different groups, I'll go through and talk a little bit more about them. Once you click on Create Audience, you've got 3 options here. One is to create a custom audience, which is going to answer your question in just a moment. You can also create a lookalike audience. Let's say that one of your audiences that you've created from someone that's visited your website, once it gets past 100, you can then say, Facebook, go out and create a lookalike audience for me. I want you to go out and find people that closely resemble the people on this list. And they will actually go out and find people that are closely resemble. And over time, because it continues to update the lookalike audience, it will get better and better at matching the similar people that you have in that list. The one below it is a saved audience. If you're doing a bunch of searches and using all the different criteria that Facebook has, such as only people who are admins of Facebook pages, only people interested in a certain site, you can save that as a search option here and create a group that you can market to so you don't have to recreate it each time. Now, once you get to this section here, it's going to ask you, do you want to import a customer list? And you can import them 2 ways. Actually, there's 3 ways, but most people only do the first 2. One is by email address, and the other is by phone number. In fact, we have a client who did a large promotion where they collected a bunch of phone numbers. And then they found out legally they weren't able to use them in marketing text messages. So we gave them the idea, well, how about you import that list in there, and you're going to get about a 40-50% match. It varies quite a bit, but I would say on average, you import a bunch of email addresses, it's going to be about a 50% match. But you import them, now you have this list that you can market to. And so yes, to answer your question, you can import emails, phone numbers, and then there's also Facebook user IDs, but unless people are scraping, there's really no reason you would have those. And of course, the last one is app activity for people that have mobile apps, magazines, all that sort of thing. There's a way to market to only those people as well. So you do have that option. Any other questions? Yes.
Have you done any tests running retargeted ads in tandem with Facebook ads and played it all with the conversions?
Yes. Now, today I talked about one particular type of pixel. I talked about the website audience pixel. When you were in the section of Facebook at the very beginning there, let me see if I can find my way back to it. Yes, you got audiences. However, there's also another type of pixel. That's conversion tracking pixel. So technically, you could get as granular with your marketing as placing an ad for who you think might be the perfect audience. So in other words, let's say you have a brand new site, no one's been to your site yet. So I gotta send some traffic there. So I create a Facebook ad targeting other fan pages, other search criteria of who I think is my ideal customer profile. So now I'm sending traffic there with just a regular Facebook ad. What I can do now is I can also take a conversion pixel and place that on certain pages. Each conversion pixel is its own unique number, as where the website audience pixel is the same no matter where you place it. The conversion pixel is going to allow you to say, I want to track every time someone gets to my email subscription thank you page, or they have made it to my order page, but they didn't order. You can start to fine tune your Facebook ads based on conversion pixels. And then now that you're sending traffic there, you can create your website audience groups and continue to market to them. So you can actually get really specific and put a highly functioning optimized funnel in place using regular ads, using ads that are tracked through conversion, as well as creating audience groups. Any other questions?
You mentioned you done some stuff with Drawl and Perfect Audience before. What's the benefit of using those versus just doing it natively within Facebook?
The ad networks like Perfect Audience and Drawl will place ads within Facebook, but they'll also place ads externally. USA Today, Wall Street Journal, all the external ad networks, all the big sites that participate in retargeting networks. So they will do both. They'll do Facebook and they'll do external. The difference is that Facebook is much more lenient where you can send, what the types of websites you can send people to. With Drawl and Perfect Audience, you pretty much need to have a page that has navigation, that has a certain criteria that isn't just there to capture information to, there's also particular industries that they won't have a part of. So the criteria is much more stringent with the external ad networks than Facebook is. But with Facebook retargeting, you're only within the Facebook ecosystem, and that's the only place your ads will be served. They're going to change that up. It's starting to spill over now into Instagram. So we're going to see more of that. There's going to be a whole lot of things coming with Facebook. And the other part of the presentation that I do talks about some of the futures. There's going to be shortly the opportunity for to make 2 clicks and they're subscribed to your email list without having to fill out anything. It's going to be great for mobile. I've also said 2015 is the year that social becomes commercial. You're going to see buy buttons. Facebook's already starting to change behavior of people slightly so that people are going to become comfortable with spending money. You can already do that through Messenger. So pretty soon it's just going to be a matter of click to buy without even leaving Facebook. So a lot of stuff is coming up. That's new for sure. Any other questions? Yeah.
Given the conversion numbers on retargeting, earlier you gave an example of 1% for regular tap.
It's really difficult to give a number, and the reason being is that it's dependent on your sales funnel and your sales copy. So you could have one industry where it's going to be something different, and then over here it's a longer, higher ticket price item. So an exact percentage of what people are seeing across the board, I don't really have a number for that. I can say with our own efforts, what we're seeing is that, well, in that example, we've run some other tests where we've only served up an ad to 60 people that responded to, or they made it to our order page for a spring offer, but they didn't purchase. We put an ad that was $3.82 that only reached those 60 people. We picked up another 4 to 5 sales that was about $1,200. So there's instances where the bottom line is it's the highest targeted audience you're ever going to have. They've already raised their hand and said, I'm interested in what you have, but didn't buy. So I don't have exact numbers though across all industries. Yes?
Is there any way to track who's gone to your app page in the App Store?
There is, but it involves some stuff with SDKs and to be able to set that up. But yes, there is a way to do that for sure.
You just mentioned spending $3 and making some cents on ads. Are they based on clicks, impressions? Like what's the pay?
You have that as an option. I just happened to do it as, I think it was just as regular optimized ad in Facebook, so I didn't even put that much effort into it. I said, show these people an ad, and I let Facebook sort the rest out. And because it was such a small group, it ended up being only a few dollars to be able to reach those people.
They each saw it like that ad like 11 times.
Yeah, which is odd, because usually Facebook has a cap on the frequency of how many times your ad will be shown. But in this case, it was like 10 or 11. It was really high that those 60 people had seen the ad quite a few times.
Is retargeting on Facebook similar to retargeting on LinkedIn?
I'm not familiar with LinkedIn's retargeting. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, cool. I hope this was useful. Did someone learn anything that you can actually go and apply immediately? Excellent. I will say this, even if you're not planning to go and run ads right now, get the Pixel code installed. And the reason being is that if you decide 3 to 4 months from now, hey, now I want to do this, there's a little button that you can check as you're setting up your rules and say, I want you to go back in time and I want you to grab those people. So get it done now so that you can use it in the future when you're ready. With that, thank you.